Well, hello. It's us, Chapo Trap House. We're back on Friday, September 20th for the Rare Emergency Podcast. We don't often do this, but as Lennon said, there are decades when nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. And in the field of just sick, nasty depravity and sexual sinuendo, vice, and scandal, this, I don't know, let's run down the list here, Felix. We got Mark Robinson, Nude Africa Forum, Olivia Nuzzi, RFK.
Suck the cream out of his sister-in-law's pussy. And before you judge him for that, her asshole smells pissy, which is good. That's a good thing. It's a good thing that the asshole smells like piss. And I got a very weird bulletin from, well, he's not my advisor anymore after this. But he said, I've noticed that a lot of older black men brag about peeing in girls' butts. And I said, that's disgusting. We do not do racial stereotyping in my replies. So I fired that advisor, but we're also taking that under consideration.
I guess, Felix, the way I'm thinking about this is like, I feel like this week began with the arrest of Puff Daddy and news of his freak-off parties hitting the mainstream. And I feel like it's closing with D.C., American politicians and the people who cover them just being like, hold my beer. If you weren't discussing it at the beginning of this week, you're going to consider some of the most awful things imaginable by the end of this week.
If just one or two of these things happened, I would be like, what a monumentous day. But all of this together, and it is so massive that like it things that would have taken over the day if it had been any other time got pushed out. Chris Rufo, he turned out to be an Ashley Madison guy. And the reason we know that this isn't just like a lib doing this is because it's the leak from 2019 when Chris Rufo was just a bald guy. when he was a random bald man and no lib knew of him. And he's like, all his supporters are like, oh yeah, real funny. This is a tactic among libs to sign people up for fucking gay porn sites, which is that's a big insight. The Babylon Bee guy said, "Oh, libs always sign us up for gay porn sites," which is interesting.
Wait, what?
So sort of like an insight to arguments he's had with his wife, perhaps. The libs did it, but he said it's attack. They find our email addresses or like fake one, and they sign us up for like cheating websites and all this shit. But it's like nobody
knew who this guy was in 2019. Yeah,
no one. And he's absolutely stupid enough to think that, like all the guys who signed up for Ashley Madison, that there's a group of 23-year-old women, millions of them, and they're like the seers in the movie Minority Report. They're waiting in a pool of stasis, waiting for a bald, ugly, not rich or successful guy to fuck them. Oh my God. I can't wait to fuck Mark Robinson, who's also on here. The guy who's $700,000 in debt and has a gooning addiction.
The gooning governor, the gooning lieutenant governor, I should say. I don't know if he's good. I mean, if he becomes governor after this, I mean, you simply just must respect. You simply must doff your cap, or just pass along another enormous cap to this guy. And it's like, obviously, because like. This is a week that forces us to confront the horniness of public figures, and obviously, like your sort of like your ability to do that is dependent a lot on how disgusted by them you are in general. And it's like it's not just the comments of Mark Robinson on the Nude Africa Forum. It's just imagining this obese moron writing them and thinking these thoughts, if not performing these acts, is very upsetting to me.
Yeah. So like I feel like. You have to be a lunatic to post on the web forum for a porn site. But like, by the way, do you know how
it's one of the most degenerate things imaginable?
It is the degenerate activity. But by the way, it surprised me to see Black Planet come back in the news because I did not think Black Planet would ever make national news. It was a weird. As I understand it, I was very young when it was in vogue, and my only personal interaction with it were when I was in middle school and I heard two black kids making fun of each other, and they were like, "You're on Black Planet." No, you're on Black Planet. But it's like a quasi-dating,
Is Black Planet the forum? Is that where Nude Africa was based?
I think Nude Africa is a subset of Black Planet.
Yeah, it's a subset.
You know when the government broke up Standard Oil?
Yeah.
Black Planet was the biggest website. It was part of Standard Oil, and they're like, Black Planet and Nude Africa have to be two separate things. But yeah, so he was on there, and he was like, the porn stuff is bad enough. It's bad enough how he's just jacking off to everything and anything in sight. And one of the reasons they caught him, besides him using the same email and username for everything, is that he has a very specific like system of phrases. Like dunderhead is one. I don't give a frog's fat ass. Like all these stupid phrases that only he uses, really. And he would use that, like, you know, in the context we know that he uses them in. Before this, it was like a video of, like, you know, a mom crying and be like, "My son was paralyzed at Parkland." And Mark Robinson would quote the video and be like, "I don't give a frog's fat ass about your wheelchair. I care about the Bill of Rights." But then it turns out he was saying that about God knows. So the first Andrew Kaczynski found him like using all these phrases, and the first instance of him saying "frog's fat ass" was like, "I don't give a frog's fat ass where this video came from. I'm still whacking my pud to it." You know. By the way, did you know that like I thought that Mark Robinson was like a respected like military officer or like a lawyer or something, right? I thought he had
a gooner.
And he was just, well, he was a gooner, but you know the reason he got big in conservative politics? It was because there's a video of him in a town hall after Parkland, like probably saying all the stuff he said on the gooning site, but just like saying like, "I don't care. I still want my gun." And it went viral on Facebook. And so he was just like a local moron. And they were like, "This guy should run for fucking governor." And then it turns out he's the most insane pervert of all time.
Okay, I mean, there's peeping and creeping. There's constant jacking off, and like, I guess what I like about this story is that it is, as you pointed out, Felix, it is a story about internet forums, and like the specific internet community of porn-brained, cum-drenched lunatics who have nonetheless found a sort of a community. And what I like about it is that Mark Robinson was still the asshole in that community of porn-addicted peepers and creepers. And like, this one thing I pulled here. I forget what article this is from. It's just from some of the comments he led. This is a comment about an exchange on the Nude Africa forum. It says, "In a largely positive forum discussion featuring a photo of two men kissing after one returned from a military deployment, Robinson wrote the sole negative comment. 'That's some old sick-ass faggot bullshit,' he wrote."
So he's always been a conservative stalwart,
yeah.
defending traditional. But yeah, he was like, I consider porn forums, especially around this time. This was like the golden age of forums, like the lowest of the low, because it is the lowest of the low as far as like having a common, unifying thing among people. It's not really a hobby. Like even video games are, your only commonality with these people is like how much you love jacking off to the same type of thing. But even in that, there can be community and commonality. And these guys, most of them sounded pretty forward thinking. They, you know, in like 2007 or whatever, are like, "Oh, that, you know, good for these gay soldiers." But yeah, there's always a forum villain. There always is. And he is the perfect, he's out straight out of central casting, as President Trump would say, as the forum villain. The exact type of guy that kind of unifies the forum and everyone hating him.
I just want to read from, this is from the New York Magazine write-up of the Mark Robinson sleaze and innuendo here. It opens like this. Of all the politicians in recent memory who have been caught saying horrible things in their past, few rival Mark Robinson in terms of sheer depravity. On Thursday, CNN reported that Robinson, North Carolina's lieutenant governor and the Republican nominee for governor, was once a frequent commenter on a porn site called Nude Africa, where between 2008 and 2012 he labeled himself a black Nazi, praised Adolf Hitler, yearned for the return of slavery, confessed to spying on showering women at a gym, referred to Martin Luther King Jr. as Martin Lucifer Coon, and a fucking commie who is worse than a maggot. And though has publicly characterized transgender people as satanic filth, described trans-themed porn as fucking hot.
Yeah, what he said about trans porn was, I think, like a great mindset into how he thinks, because he's like, It's amazing. You take the man out without taking the man out. So he's
no, that is brilliant. I mean, yeah.
But the interesting thing is, like, probably 80% of his comments are just like the most disgusting sex stuff you've ever read.
Yeah,
it's like the stuff.
I'm going to read them in a second.
Yeah, this stuff where he's like, I just put my head into my sister-in-law's cunt and yodeled. Oh my God. Have you ever tried to chew bubble gum out of your sister-in-law's placenta? I have. It tastes great. And that, or like talking about how much he fucking whacks off, or like some gross story, like the spying on the showers, talking about how he still jacks off to
Keeping
it.
and creeping.
Which is insane. To be like 43 and jacking off to
the scene from Porky's where they look in the shower. Yeah.
At least they were like in college in Porky's, if I'm remembering right. He's like in middle school in this story. But then, the stuff that isn't, the probably in the off-topic forum, he's just unbidden like, Hitler rocks. Some people need to be slaves. They're too stupid not to be slaves, which I don't know how he considers himself like, in a Brave New World situation, he would be like an alpha. He's declared bankruptcy like 20 times.
Well, Felix,
he's probably doing it right now.
In his comments about slavery, he was just like, he said, like, yeah, I think they should bring slavery back. I'd buy a few. And I'm
how?
Like, what? Was there $7,000 in late fees to the gooning store, to the gooning closet? What are you talking about?
Money, Mark. Yeah, I mean, not even temporarily embarrassed millionaires, temporarily embarrassed slave owners. Like, how would Mark Robinson even put down a slave rebellion?
He'd have to hope they don't, move very fast or far.
Yeah.
I mean, this further on in the New York Magazine right up here, it says, one aspect of Robinson's Nude Africa posts that is largely absent from his Facebook output is their lascivious tone, which tracks it was a porn site after all, but even that element of his personality was poorly camouflaged. In his memoir, Robinson writes in unmistakably horny tones about his borderline Freudian obsession with trains, which began when he was a kid, rolling underneath oncoming locomotives and experiencing a rush as they screamed overhead. He confessed to giving them borderline sexual nicknames like Big Dirty and stalking them across Guilford County trying to talk to them. There's a Big Dirty, he would say aloud when he spotted one, and he's trying to hide from me, but I see him. Oh, this is like a Faulkner novel. This is like the town simpleton who is raped with a corn cob or something like that.
Yeah, this is like the prose of a man who has spent the first 20 years of his life living in an outhouse. Like the inbred Braithwaite from Red Dead Redemption. But I this is so sad. There are so many cases like this in the world of people who were born too early, and so they had to become like a Republican asshole. But let's look at the facts here. Sexual connection to trains and has a deep mental categorization of different types of trains to the point that he is lying under them to get the physical sensation of a train passing. A chaser?
Yep.
Taught like... God, if this guy had been born in 85 or something, such a different life than the one he had. He would have been going to Chapo live shows. I'm pretty sure.
And then, like, obviously, like, this story was breaking as we were recording yesterday, and the thing was, like, there was like all these things coming out about how, like, the North Carolina GOP was trying to get him to drop out of the race, and he was, staying in it. But like, you have to imagine, like, that they were at least aware of what was coming down the pike. But you said, like, about how sort of perfectly on the same wavelength he is with a certain kind of the current moment of, internet-induced degeneracy and depravity, and in conjunction with extreme racist, misogynistic, hard-right politics. But, like, what exactly in any of these porno posts would negatively affect his stature as the Republican candidate for governor of North Carolina? Because, I mean, the obvious answer would be, like, to him expressing a fondness for the transgender genre of pornography. But half of the guys in the GOP are into that. Half of men in general are into that. Like, I just don't think it's like, you can point out the hypocrisy about, like, how evil his stance is on trans people are now. But, like, I think we're past a certain point now when it comes to I don't know, just like the sexual tastes of politicians.
Yeah, I mean, like, more than anything, the fact that he used the same name for everything, the same fucking email, and the way that he's trying to get out of it is by saying, it was AI, which would be an incredibly specific AI prompt. What would that prompt look like? What just for a second, like, AI is not that good to write any of this, but and being on Ashley Madison, most of all, the disqualifying element is that he's incredibly stupid. But yeah, you're right that none of the actual content of the stuff is like a deal breaker in Republican politics, especially not now when no one goes away anymore.
I mean,
if you haven't noticed.
Who under the age of 30 or 40 active in GOP politics doesn't admire Adolf Hitler and trans women?
Well, hates trans women. Well, hates sexualizes them. Has
sexualizes
a fetishistic thing. Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, it all fits. I did get one Mark Robinson defender, though, like an earnest defender of him, who was like, just like, I can't figure out what type of person this is. He's like the inverse of, for fans of lib Twitter, Lakota Man. He was a purported Cherokee guy who was arguing with me, and he said, "Oh yeah, no one's ever lied on a porn forum before." In response to the Robinson sister-in-law posts, which, I guess that will be their defense of this. Like,
he was obviously lying. I mean, I think it was pretty clear he was sharing a sexual fantasy, but also bragging to his fellow porn degenerates.
So this has been exactly like Newsroom, because after I posted about the sister, people are like, his wife is an only child. And, that lended more credence to the idea that he was born at the wrong time, because what could he have been? A shipper. He could have been one of those guys where he's like, all the members of One Direction have fucked each other, and they're going to fuck me. But, so I was pursuing that story for a while, like Jeff in Newsroom. Then it turns out, no, his wife does have two sisters. One of them is in the tank for Kamala. But, like, in either of that...
I was like the head of the news corporation coming down while you're doing your tweets, and I'm like, post that he didn't have his wife, didn't have any sisters, and then you're just staring me down, and then like we're getting confirmation his wife does indeed have two sisters. You're a goddamn poster, and don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise.
yeah. It was breathless. I mean, but I think like we all probably agree. He did not fuck this. Like, not that he's too good of a person, but the way he described it,
it's describing sex from like the perspective of like your only interaction with sex is jerking off 9 times a day to hardcore pornography.
Yeah, this is very embarrassing to admit, but when I was like 13 or 14, I would read on like my gaming forums, like guys who were also doing this, like guys who were like also lying about having sex. And they would do things like just a thread in the off topic forum that's like, here's my guide to what races fuck the best. It's just a guy who you've seen make 70,000 posts about Sonic saying disgusting shit. Don't fuck an Indian girl. Your dick will smell like curry. And it's like, I've seen you like post about the Sonic movies, which no one else in the world has seen. The animated Sonic movies for children. But I would, not around my friends that I knew well, because I think I knew I would be caught out. But around people I would, like newer kids I was meeting, I would try to replicate some of that stuff to make it sound like I had had sex. And it is very funny to see a 47-year-old who has kids do that. like
I'm gonna read from the one that that you found the other day, or like that you posted this, and this is from Mark Robinson's. This is from September 4th, 2011. This is from Mark Robinson posting on Nude Africa. I'm back. We took a break for a little bit, but picked back up where we left off. I hooked up with my wife's sister, and boy, was it good. That pussy is still creaming, and that asshole is still slick, shiny, and pissy smelling. I fucked her good, and after my dick was coated with her cream, we 69'd. She sucked my dick and balls clean and tossed my salad while I licked the cream out of that pussy and sucked her huge clit. And tongue fucked that pissy asshole good and deep. I know it's bad, but I can't help it. That crack is like crack, and I'm hooked. By the way, as I was saying this, Catherine was just going, oh, from the kitchen over and over. Probably because this turns her on so much, but you know.
Women don't like to admit, but this is pretty hot shit.
Yeah, this is pretty good. It's pretty sweaty stuff.
Yeah, this is, like, again, a great insight. If you are in middle school listening to this and you are, you know, another seventh grader is talking like this, a great way to prove that someone is lying is that their description of their sexual encounters sound incredibly choreographed. Like you're fucking someone and you're like, all right, I'm done licking the cream out of your pussy. Commence 69.
Transfer from 69 into pile driver position. Hold for cream pie.
Yeah, you're calling out things like a quarterback.
yeah. Omaha, kill. Did you read the ones about? There's another one. I think these are the golden shower ones. He says, "Had me another hot morning with the wife's sister." She brought in the
morning?
How is that? Yeah.
When do you go to work, Mark?
Had me another hot morning with the wife's sister. She brought along her laptop this time, and we watched some vids here on NA. The one that got us really hot was called Wet Anal. That vid got her pussy soaking wet, and y'all know what I did, right? That ass was wet, slick, and good and pissy. And I licked and sucked that pussy and asshole till my face was covered with her funky juices. Then she sucked my dick till it was good and hard, then lubed it down with wet.
Wait, so his dick wasn't hard until that?
I can't even read the rest of this, honestly. I can't even read the rest of this.
It's so fucking gross. It's so gross imagining this Baron Harkonnen-esque man doing any of this. He's floating around the room. He takes one huff of her pussy and he starts hitting the walls like he's a screensaver. Fucking lunatic.
He starts floating every time he sees a train. There's a big old dirty, my beautiful train, my Arrakis, my big dirty. No, yeah, I thought I was going to read these on the show, but like honestly, I can't even get through them. They're too disgusting. Oh, it's just there's so much about just piss and pussy juice and it's just like it's the vessel that this is coming from too, because he is a disgusting ogre who is one of the most hateful creeps on the planet. You know, and I guess like this is, and like going on like these stories today. It's like it is all just like it would be one thing if people's like the embarrassing details of anyone's personal sex life are made public fodder for consumption, but like every one of these guys, and Mark Robinson being the top offender here, is, you know, the beneficiary or promoters of a political movement that offers nothing to anyone other than the opportunity to victimize other people for their sex lives. So I would say like this is all fair game, at least as far as it regards fucking Mark Robinson.
If for nothing else, like obviously, yeah, these are people who want 11-year-olds to give birth because they think just like, really, it's not even that they want to punish having sex anymore. It's that they just want to punish women and girls for any reason at all. But beyond that, it shows how fucking stupid this guy is.
Yeah.
This is one of the dumbest guys ever.
I was with Matt this morning, and I was like running through these stories that we were doing today, and he brought up a very good point that I think is the connecting through line for all of these, is that in addition to being disgusting tales of depravity, each one of these stories is an idiot test.
Yes.
Like if you're posting
Felix,
under your own name on
Ashley
a form,
Madison.
Yes, if you are entering your email into a form to have an affair, you are an idiot. I mean, I don't want to disparage Nuzzy too much, but what are you thinking? Your entire job is profiling these people. You know, you think you're going to get away with this? Or fucking Matt Gaetz being one of the most famous Republicans in the country and being like, yeah, I'm going to take an underage girl to an orgy. Just idiot tests all around.
Yeah, for Nuzzy, it's like, you're a journalist, and she's like, don't worry, it was just an emotional text-based relationship, which is A, weirder, I would say.
Yes.
And
yes.
B,
it's categorically worse.
And B, is this your first fucking day of being a journalist? No, don't worry, I just put everything in writing. These are all, like, I mean, like, Mark Robinson was not fooling many people. Most people, even I think a lot of his voters, or especially not his institutional supporters, were fooled that this was a smart guy. But, you know, I think it's with him, he's just like a venal, stupid guy who, the fact that he is a figure at all, the fact that he is like elected to a position besides, like, you know, one of those forum awards, like best screen caps of the Backdoor Diet series or whatever, is like an indictment of institutional national decay. But, you know, for a journalist who is vaunted as, like, you know, a rising star, a kind of smart insider, doing this in the dumbest fucking way possible is astounding. We'll get back to Robinson, but because you brought up Nuzzy, I wanted to bring this up. Something that I won't say who I got this insight from. Someone I know who is, let's say, an expert in these things. And they said the reason she did it this way is because she's trying to get rid of Ryan Lizzo. Which is kind of an interesting insight. I think there's some credence there.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Nuzzy story, man. That was like the second tower getting hit yesterday. That was I didn't think the news could get any better for the day. And what I'll say about the Nuzzy thing, I guess just about like, look, I just like this week or last week, I read from Nuzzy's profile of Donald Trump. I know I've read from the profile of RFK Jr. that everyone is looking back at now, and like, you know, I followed her career in writing. And the thing is, like, I've enjoyed reading her articles, and like I've gotten good material out of them for this show. But I think like the stupidity of this, and like it puts into sort of a crystal focus like the essential problem I have with like her as a media insider, and just these sort of just so profiles of prominent public figure, like men who are politicians. That like by flattering them, she sort of gives them enough rope to hang themselves and reveal all of these very telling details. But like, I can't help but she sort of is disgusted by and admires these men in equal measure. And there's just something essential, like with the Trump piece, like the essential thrust of it, despite how buffoonish he comes across, is humanizing him. And I think like her overall work is to like mostly serves to just kind of humanize and glorify these venal, odious figures. And like that's what I mean is like it's fun to read, but I don't think there's really anything of substance there. And like I don't know.
Yeah, I think you have a good point there. I do think that it's kind of an indictment of her that like after this happened, no one was really like, what a waste of a great journalist, or like I'm disappointed and shocked. That's kind of like just damning by absence in that case. But yeah, you know, just for pure entertainment, I totally agree. It is interesting to read like Rudy Giuliani drunk off of his ass trying to impress like a 28-year-old, right? Yeah, there's ultimately just like very little value in any of this stuff. which is fine. You know, we are just as guilty for reading it as they are for making it. But it just like the elevation, the way that like people like this are elevated. Like if you were on Twitter from like 2012 to, you know, end of the Trump administration, you saw so many horny media guys being like just posting an Olivia Nuzzi article. This is why she's the best. This is why we hire her. So, yeah, just so much of that. And it's like, she has sort of like a contrarian posture now. And it's like, if your whole thing is that you're kind of like above it all and you can see through the dumb shit and the partisanship, I would hope that you are maybe not disgusted by RFK, but you're not immediately like, oh my God, you think radishes can prevent Jewish wireless illnesses? Fill me up. No need for condom. Fill me up. That's, you know, some credulity. Some.
Yeah, and I guess it was just like her. There was something sort of like always kind of like desperate about her posture of like, you know, just like, Ann Coulter, be my friend. Ha ha. Like, and like this pose of being above it all. That you know, has always been a little obnoxious, but like, you know, I guess that, like that's her stock and trade. I guess that's how she gets like under the defenses of these people. But I do want to return to the RFK profile she did because these are the two paragraphs that everyone's sharing now. But they are very funny two paragraphs, both before and now with subsequent knowledge of now with hindsight. So she writes, Bobby, as he's known to friends, walked through the French doors dressed for his morning hike in blue jeans, a black hoodie, Keens, and an unfriendly expression. He said as little as he led 3 enormous canines to the van, though I didn't know what he could have said that would have prepared me for the sight of the thing. That the dog car survived a nuclear war may be, or even more frightening, the chickenpox vaccine. Rear view mirror smashed to bits, seatbelts chewed off, cushions gnawed upon, filth and dog hair covering every surface. The death machine smells so bad, I thought I might pass out after about 15 seconds riding shotgun. And that was before the candidate hung a sharp left and sped off toward the trailhead, the dogs barking and toppling over the area of the car that theoretically should contain back seats, but instead holds a wooden bench. Shut up, you idiots, he told the dogs. At least I think he was talking to them. He swung the vehicle around to the park side of the road, released the hounds, and started his ascent. You know, like that's the kind of color, that's the kind of flavor that only Nuzzy brings. But I gotta say, after reading about his a ride in his charnel house van of horrors and dog desiccation, I mean, Ryan Lizzo's got to be on suicide watch right now. I mean,
oh my God,
what it's like.
Ryan Lizzo.
This is like, if you're a Kennedy, this is what I said before on the show. If you're the Kennedy, this is what America allows you to get away with. There is nothing that these people won't get away with. There's nothing that they can't do. The Riz is simply too off the charts that your car can smell like 8 generations of dead carcasses moldering in the seating of your car, and you can still be having text affairs with young journalists.
I actually kind of think the opposite. I mean, that he's the typical Kennedy activities: sailing, dying in a plane crash, dying in a car crash, like the typical, you know, croquet, I got polo, you know, Nantucket type activities. Instead of doing those, RFK Jr., the most degenerated Kennedy, is putting his dogs in, like, I don't know, a van that was previously used for abductions by the sounds of things, and just like letting them loose on a trail and being like, have fun, guys.
Can you imagine how badly behaved his dogs are?
Oh my God.
Did you encounter them while you were hiking?
His dogs are probably like the Hans Landa for UPS guys. Fucking terrors. But you know, doing that instead of the typical Kennedy activities, not a war hero, an industrialist, a journalist, any of the Kennedy jobs, but a guy who covers himself in bugs. And you're not fucking Marilyn Monroe. You and a woman who used to work for Pando Daily are going back and forth. You're so fucking hot. What would you do if I was there right now? It's very degenerated and very sad for everyone, I think.
You know, I was talking to Andrew Hudson last night, and he said that RFK Jr. is like a tulpa that's been like just manifested by all the sins of his entire family. That like he looks like them, but he is some sort of like demon form of the Kennedys.
He just doesn't have any of the Kennedy like abilities or like magic. I mean, I would argue that you don't have to be especially charismatic to like get into an embarrassing text audience with a journalist.
That's true.
I don't know. I think you could do it if you had like those shoes that light up when you walk. Like that would be enough to get most journalists' attention. Perhaps if you found a cool rock or a stick, maybe. These are all enough. But yeah, no, Ryan Lizzo, what can you even do or say at this point? Like Ryan Lizzo's job is like, he's doing Mike Allen's old job, which is like, he has to wake up at like 3 a.m. and write, Amy Klobuchar's chief hair comber was seen with fucking, Chris Coons's shoe polish guy. Wow. He has to like go out and pretend everything's at least normal enough for him to do his like Politico newsletter. But everyone knows he was turned into a cuckold by a man covered in caterpillars. What can you even do? I would kill myself. I'm not saying he should, but I'm just saying that would be my solution to the problem.
Felix, can I read your RXK nephew lyrics about this?
Yeah.
We were going back and forth right before we got, but just imagine the RFK nephew.
RFK nephew.
Ryan Lizard dumb for holding that bitch down. These hoes will text RFK when you're not around. I feel like Chris Lizard turned up.
Would you think that RXK nephew, he would treat Chris Lizard like he does Fredo Santana, where he's like the only guy he likes?
Yeah, because he talks
like,
about killing people.
Chris Lizard raps about drugs and killing people and gets money.
Oh man, he should do a song about RFK, but like the version of the real Little Reese, but about. I heard Mark Robinson shit himself. I've heard Mark Robinson made the pussy shit itself. I heard Mark Robinson's covered in piss again.
Don't think he Matt Gates in the trap. 12 Bitcoin for some young pussy.
I guess like the other great thing about the nosy RFK Jr. thing was the reactions to it. I feel like I know you responded that Nomiki Konst, who was just like, oh. Like people blaming Nuzzy for this seem not to be aware of the effect that a 70-year-old man can have on a 31-year-old.
She's
just a kid. She's just a kid.
Is there no upper limit for this? Like
it's like you were like, just think what an even older man could have got her.
Yeah, Joe Biden could get her to kill all his enemies. Jimmy Carter, who's even older,
like,
oh my god,
Joe Biden would turn her into Patty Hearst.
Yeah. He would use her to like settle the scores with like Corn Pop's remaining relatives. She would be like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill, just going around Delaware, killing all of Corn Pop's fucking grandkids and grandnephews and nieces. I agree with that tweet though. In my heart of hearts, this is a pattern of behavior for RFK. Did you know Cheryl was only 49 when she got married to him?
I feel bad for Cheryl in all this. I really do.
I do too, yeah.
I feel bad for Cheryl. And like, look, the extent people are like blaming Nuzzy here. And like, I mean, it's just like, she said that like none of this went on while she was doing the profile or whatever. But like, just as a professional standard, like this is like, if you were the journalist who's having the affair, like with one of your subjects that you cover, like you were falling short of a, I guess, ethical model for what it means to, give someone a platform or like, profile them.
I'm sure this stuff probably happens. We're always learning about like weird shit after the fact. Like that one guy he was in a relationship with Katie Hill when he was like reporting on Congress. I'm sure this stuff happens more than we know. And it's like rats, for every one you see, there are like 10 you don't. But it just like, for it to be RFK is a uniquely damning indictment on someone's character and just judgment. The same as,
yes,
the exact same as posting, on the porn forum with your same fucking email and all your life details. It is not so much the deed as it is the category of that, the specifics of that deed, of how you did it, of who you did it with.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like RFK Jr. is just like, if you strip away all the dead animals surrounding him and all the bugs that are under his skin, on his skin, coming out of his mouth, like the guy Prince of Darkness or whatever, he's just not that interesting. Or powerful. There's no chance he was ever going to be president. I think the Gucci Mane line about if you're sucking a millionaire's dick, you're doing good. Well, it's just like.
Yeah, that is one of the things I thought is like, even, okay, if you're looking at this for like on a cynical angle, like, I'm going to fuck this guy for insider info. She may as well you may as well like fuck a black Israelite who's screaming in Central Park. You may as well do that. You may as well like just fuck one of the anti-circumcision protesters that goes to every event, because you're getting the same amount of insider information from those guys.
Once again, these people, they're all nasty. They're all nasty people. They need to take a cold shower. Okay, what about the Chris Rufo thing is like, I guess that's the most vanilla of all of these. That like, whatever, he was looking to step out on his wife back in 2019 or whatever. I mean, like, he's just an appalling person to begin with. I mean, more relevant is the fact that he used to talk openly about his wife, how his wife was at one point an undocumented immigrant. So it's not so much the cheating on her that I find appalling, but it's the fact that he's fomenting a nativist revival of anti-immigrant hatred.
Yeah, it's sort of like Mark Robinson and like the transport. It's not so much. I mean, we saw the same thing with like, with JD Vance's wife, when people are like, oh, she's smiling at these people who have like, mass deportations now thing. It's like, I guarantee you, not just like the husbands that like trumpet this stuff, but like the women that are married to them, they've already created a mental exception for themselves with all this shit, explaining why they're different from like any of the other, from the Haitians in Springfield or anything else. Like, people have an endless capacity to do that. And unfortunately, like, we live at a time when like someone can get the worst fucking Me Too ever. Like that Students for Trump guy, he fucking pistol whipped his girlfriend. No one ever goes away anymore. No one even goes away when you find out the worst shit about them. The most embarrassing, the lowest, most immoral, horrible behavior. No one goes away. So, like, just simple hypocrisy is, it has even less power than ever. And it didn't even have that much to begin with, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just, with all these things, it just doesn't hold that much purchase in people's imagination, because most of the people, most of the people out there who are either horrified by this or reveling in it are also sick little nasty freaks as well. It's just part of the human condition. It's part of the human condition. Except for Matt Gaetz, he's the outlier here, because what he did is actually a felony. Like, I wouldn't. This is the Matt Gaetz thing is like taking the headline here. It says Matt Gaetz was at a sex and drugs party with a high school junior. Matt
is
Gaetz
this guy ever gonna fucking go to trial?
I don't know. Matt Gaetz was at a 2017 party with a 17-year-old girl at the heart of an alleged sex trafficking scandal, according to legal documents filed Thursday. It's like. And I guess I come back to like the extreme right wing politics of all these guys, and I think like more so, like, again, maybe even more so than hypocrisy. Like, another cliche is that all right wing politics is projection for some deep seated sexual pathology, but they're making it easy here because, like, the immigrants, they're taking our dogs, they're raping our women. It's like the call is coming from inside the house. But
like, I think it fits because, like, in their perspective, it's like, no, we should be raping them.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
They're getting there first. They're despoiling our prize.
Yeah.
One Matt Gaetz thing. Again, talking with Matt earlier today, Very unfinished storyline in the Matt Gaetz saga. Did we ever get closure on what was going on with Nestor?
No, Nestor got written off the show very quickly. Nestor
when
definitely.
Gaetz first broke onto the scene, that was like the Gaetz storyline. Who is this
is like the Cuban teenager he adopted.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he was dating Nestor's sister, and he was like, "Can I adopt your 19-year-old brother?" And she was like, "Sure." Can I adopt your brother, who I'm like 5 years older than? But yeah, Nestor. What do you think he did with Nestor? Because I think he tried to write it out, like everyone tries to write everything out now. But I think even he realized, like, this is kind of hard to explain, even in the best case. He may have hired like a Republican Ray Donovan to throw Nestor in the garbage. That's what I think.
And I guess last on our rundown of embarrassing sexual escapades and antics, this is courtesy of our friend DJ from the Rooster. There is a Texas school choice leader did gay porn before political activism. School choice hero and author Corey DeAngelis is allegedly the star of several videos hosted on gay porn websites. The man, who looks and sounds exactly like DeAngelis, can be seen masturbating and performing other lewd acts. In one video, he participates in what the video refers to as a jerk-off race.
Well, I think like everyone should
compete,
push themselves. Yeah. Yeah, surprise yourself. Like running a marathon. This is almost cute to me. Like the evangelical guy who, like, you know, freaks out and does a bunch of meth and fucks a billion guys. That's like cute compared to all this other stuff, especially after Matt Gaetz.
This is a singing senators style conservative
exactly.
Scandal.
Exactly.
This is like just a guy having fun with his friends, you know. And by the way, I'll beat anyone in a jerk-off race. I'll accept all challengers.
Is there like jerk-off? Like, obviously there's jerk-off races, and that's like the sprint. But is there like jerk-off cross-country?
It's like an endurance thing of like not coming.
Yeah. Like, you know, Sting would be probably very good at that.
And I suppose all of this, of course, is overshadowed by, you know, the sexual depravity in this country is overshadowed by, you know, our much larger depravity of the war that's almost certainly going to happen in Lebanon over the weekend. I mean, because like I feel like we didn't really get a chance to talk about this, but the story. I mean, we will talk about it more coming up on Monday. But like, I do just need to like give air to my thoughts here, because like this truly has been one of the most extraordinary weeks in terms of news, and we've talked a lot of funny news here that is like certainly not of any real importance, or like I think Matt Gaetz aside, worthy of much moral condemnation. I think it's just funny because to see awful people trip over their own dicks, but. The story about how, like, Israel turned every fucking pager, walkie-talkie, and consumer electronic device in Lebanon into a bomb and then blew them up all at once is genuinely mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's the thing that's, like, so fucking, I don't know, weird. Not weird isn't the right word, because they kind of do this with, like, everything. But, like, there's, like, this weird inherent contradiction, I guess, in this whole thing where the people who are crowing about it, like Israelis and their American supporters, are saying this is the most targeted strike ever. This is the most like specific, you know, low collateral damage, only hitting bad people ever. Which is like, okay, so if you knew exactly who had them and exactly where they were, which you're implying, why did you blow it up in a fucking grocery store or a hospital? Like that's. There's no angle that you can look at this where it isn't just flat out terrorism, because either they knew exactly where these fucking people were so they could do maximum damage, or they were just kind of exploded at random and given out at random, and they're saying all these guys were Hezbollah after the fact. In either case, it's like, what does illegal even fucking mean anymore in the international context? But like, definitely exactly what terrorism fucking is.
Yeah, and like and evidence of that is like, once again, like I always turn to the New York Times to see how this will be parsed. And the headline on this from Patrick Kingsley, a guy we've talked about many times before on this show, was like, the headline was something along the lines of like, Israel shows its like tactical genius, or was like a tactical success, but whose strategic goals are vague. And like, I mean, you could really
I
say
think
the
they're
same.
pretty
You could say the same thing about
fucking
9/11.
explicit.
Like, it was tactically a marvelous success. I mean, actually, their strategic goals actually seems like it was pretty well fulfilled by that. But like, what I mean here is like the strategic aim of this clearly is to start a war, open up a new front in this war, to start a war on the southern border of Lebanon, to recolonize parts of southern Lebanon, to cleanse it of Hezbollah, and like by Hezbollah I mean the people of southern Lebanon, and like they're trying to goad Hezbollah into a response that will be big enough that the media can point at it and be like, they fired first.
Yeah,
And they're in they're in an impossible situation now where they know that that's what Netanyahu wants, but at the same time, they're getting their fucking pagers blown up all, and now apartment buildings flattened in Beirut. And the thing is, they're already using the language about human shields, but to refer to Lebanon now, not Gaza.
They used it for this. They used it for the pager thing, which is, I mean, that just suggests that like the moment that someone like comes into your house with a gun, you are immediately in a state where you're using your family as a human shield. There's no way, like, obviously that any of these guys could have known that their pagers would be, have like 20 grams of explosives in them. But also at the same time, they consciously went into a grocery store, I guess, to use all those people as a human shield while keeping the pager in their pocket. It just doesn't make any fucking sense, but it's the same thing they do with everything else. The fact that Hezbollah is in an urban center is using a fucking human shield.
I think it's pretty clear that like the way that it's been adopted by the Western press and the government is that like human shields, because like it used to be like when you think of like people using human shields, it would literally be like like a bank robbery gone wrong, where like you gather people in a building and put them in front of you so that you can like walk out and not get shot by a sniper, or like literally using to them their bodies to shield you personally from gunfire returning your way. But like it's very clear now that the Western press has adopted a new paradigm for what a human shield is, to refer to any human being who lives or is in the vicinity of any area or other group of people that could be defined as an enemy of Israel, or like resisting Israel's occupation or war or anything like that. And if you live in Beirut or Lebanon, you're now a human shield.
Basically, having a civilian population accounts as a human shield. It's nonsense.
Right. And the closest thing they get to like acknowledging the horrors they inflict in English. In Hebrew, it's like, hooray, we blinded a fucking 4-year-old, or we wiped out this entire family. But in English, where they feel like they kind of have to hold it together a little bit, it's like, what a shame that, this kid's dad was such a piece of shit to be in Hezbollah. You would really not like this to be applied even 1% back at you.
Yeah.
Because that would mean that it's time to fucking nuke Tel Aviv.
And I guess, and I always feel like the answer to this, like, whether it's just like, oh, well, it's a shame that those kids had to die because their parents were in Hamas or Hezbollah, or were resisting the Israeli occupational army. But the answer, I guess the answer is not to just be like, oh, well, they weren't, or, like, you can't do that anyway. I think like the natural response to me is like, well, why wouldn't they be in Hamas or Hezbollah? What would you do if you were trying to like have a future for your family under these circumstances?
Yeah. If someone fucking came and abducted your children, your grandmother, someone you knew, and fucking absconded with them to an unaccountable legal gray area where they are in detention for an indefinite amount of period, they have no legal rights, and during that time they are subject to systematic sexual torture. If someone turns off your electricity at will, your water, everything, I would hope that most people would have the wherewithal and courage to at least try to create a physical deterrent. I don't know what I would do. I don't think any of us do, and I'm very glad that we probably will never have to find out. But for the people that do actually face that, I can never and will never criticize how anyone fights back against that.
What do you think? I think that's a good place to leave it for today. And then I think we should just put this episode out as the Thursday episode and release the Hellgate one as a bonus episode.
I'll make this the premium one, and I'll put out the Hellgate one publicly as a bonus. Okay, if this is going to be the Patreon show, then I will also give my plug right here at the end that we have set a final release date for Matt's book, No Pasaran, Matt Christman's Spanish Civil War, will be on sale starting Tuesday, October 1st through Thursday, October 31st on chapotraphouse.store. That is the official announcement of Matt's book sell window, October 1st through October 31st at chapotraphouse.store. That will be the time that you can put in an order, and when that sale period is closed, we will send all the orders to print. So get in now. We will put many, many, many reminders about this in a blog post, and we'll talk about it on every show until then. So you have 1 month to order, and that month is October.
And it's a good opportunity to hear from Matt in his own words, to show some love to your boy and ours. And I think we should make clear that all of the profits generated from this book after we pay the editor, et cetera,
and manufacturing costs, yes.
Manufacturing, et cetera. None of us are receiving a single dollar from the Matt Christman book. It is all going to Matt and his family. And I think that's important to know.
Yes.
None of this is purchasing flight simulation instruments for me.
No, it's just every other subscription dollar.
Yeah, those are,
Yes.
That's fine.
And then also, I said this on the Eric Adams episode as well, but if you are an Angelino, keep Monday, November 4th open for an event to be announced soon.
That's right. We're fucking RFK.
The Mark Robinson style train is coming to Los Angeles.
I'll be doing a special episode of Movie Mindset with Mark Robinson. We'll be counting down who fucks better, Peter North or TT Boy.
A lucky fan will get to determine how pissy my asshole is.
LA, November 4th. Come cream us up. Come cream.
All right.
Be good, everyone, and stay nasty.
All right. Bye.